So I found out that my paper aeroplane won't fly. It's just stationary.
Jesus, man.
I slept with a deaf person without protection and then got a sexually transmitted disease. Turns out they gave me hearing aids.
Oh.
Ooh.
A dung beetle walks into a bar and says, "Pardon me, is this stool taken?" Think about it. And finally, I came from a family of failed magicians. I've got 2 half sisters. Takes a bit of time, that one. Takes a bit of time to settle. And I'll never forget my granddad's last words to me. "Stop shaking that ladder, you silly cunt." Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the Black Dog 221. I'm Lee.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jim.
And this week we are Eltonless because he has been doing the works, and he was doing the works till very, very late last night. So hopefully he is sleeping like all sensible people should be when they've done stupid hours. So anyway, he won't be here, but this week we'll see how everyone's week's been. And then if there's any feedback or questions and answers, as you can tell, I haven't checked, we'll do them. And then we'll move on to this week's movie, which was, Jim?
The Thing from Another World.
The Thing from Another World. Keep watching the skies. First goddamn week of winter. Well, no, wrong one. Anyway, we'll be getting to that soon enough. Anyway, right, let's start and see how everyone's week's been. I can imagine that yours hasn't been the greatest, Jim.
No, it did not. I mean, I was very, very poorly last week. But more of that later. But the big news, you may remember a few weeks ago you heard tell of I had a jaunt to London for specialist scans.
Yep.
And, well, basically the results came back and I've been to the hospital quite a few more times since then for other bits and bobs. And I have stage 3 lung cancer in my left lung, which is less than ideal. However, it's treatable.
Yes.
And because apparently I'm in excellent health, which, if you know my chicken past, that's fucking hilarious. The consultant said, and I quote, "You can throw the kitchen sink at me."
Oh, right.
So they're pursuing a very aggressive treatment. I start next
Will
Monday.
be very aggressive treatment.
Yeah,
Kitchen
it
sinks
will
and
be.
stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
blimey.
well, it's all space age stuff, believe you me. But yeah, so I'll start 6 weeks of daily radiotherapy, which is kind of like having an X-ray, okay?
Yes.
And also 6 weeks of weekly chemo, which is similar to the chemo I've had before, so that's okay. And if that goes well, then I'm on immunotherapy for a year. But that is a quick injection once a month, 12 times. So that's a walk in the park, that bit.
Yeah.
But the radiotherapy, I had to go for a fitting for the radiotherapy.
A fitting?
Well, the thing is, I mean, what they're doing, they're directing basically a huge Bruce Banner-style gamma ray inducer at you. And it's very important they keep it on the right bit, okay?
Oh, right.
So I went in, it's kind of, you're in the room for the CT scan, and what they do, you lie down, like on this big blue beanbag, and there's like, 4 like technicians there, and they're actually going to push it around you and say, "You're comfortable?" Yeah, it's right. Get comfortable because you are making your bed and lying in it here.
Oh, blimey.
And this beanbag, it actually sets to your exact body shape.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So basically, if you're on radiotherapy, you've got your own sort of literally sort of permanent memory foam body form, which when you go for the radiotherapy, they put it down. You lie in it, and you're in exactly the right position every time because it's molded exactly to you.
Right.
But also, this is coordinated with. You also remember, I think it was on More Questions Than Answers.
Mm.
and I told my story of my rubbish tattoo.
Yes.
a little permanent ink dot on my palm, I self-inflicted.
Yes.
Well, it's got 3 brothers now.
Okay.
Because part of the fitting for the radiotherapy is you get tattooed.
Wow.
And they actually tattoo like 3 dots when you're in the CT machine, so they can align it exactly along with you're in your body mold, and then you can align it with your 3 dots on your chest, so it gets exactly the right bit every time.
Wow, wow, it's like crop marks on printing.
Well, it is basically, yeah. I mean, I did ask if they could do me a baby Yoda, and they said no, it's just dots, mate.
Didn't want love and hat, no, love and hat on your knuckles, no, or an anchor with mum written through it or something like that, no.
You sure?
I love ice cream.
You sure it wasn't? You sure it wasn't? Sure it wasn't some kind of marketing for the new Predator cartoon that's coming out this week?
Oh, possibly.
3 little red dots. Were they little red dots, Jim?
No, the little black dots. So.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not in a triangle either, Predator style.
Bigger than that, missed the trick there.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's all quite space age stuff. So.
Oh, wow.
But apparently, radiotherapy is just like having an X-ray. So it's like bang, done, very quick.
Right.
Although there is horrible side effects, but I'll worry about that later.
Well, gamma radiation monsters usually.
Yeah. I'm well versed in all the proper medical literature, i.e. Marvel Comics, so I'm in good stead there. Although the kind of there's a ton of hideous side effects, none of it can be as bad as the fucking flu that kept me off the cast last week, which was fucking appalling. I mean, literally, this was like the full house flu: headache, earache, sinusitis, runny nose, sneezing, coughing, sore throat, coughing so much your chest aches, and chills, fevers, and all over body aches. It was the complete works. It fucking absolutely floored both me and Teresa. We both she got just before I did, so it was kind of I looked after her, then she looked after me, because when you got it, you literally were flat out for a couple of days.
Right.
And literally, one night last week, I mean. In the morning, I realised I'd been quite delirious, because looking back, like that wasn't really a normal night, because I was laying in bed, so like sweating, and literally this big hole opened up in front of me, and I saw a really crap paper mache version of all the world, and the devil was there and saying, "All this can be yours," and I said, "That shit, you've missed off Tonga." I'm not making this up. Now, I don't know where Tonga is, but look at his map. Neither did he. And I caught him out and said, right, sling your hook, you fucking cheap delirium Satan. Fuck off.
Delirium Satan. Oh, if we still did random names for the podcast titles, that would be it. Delirium Satan. Delirium Satan doesn't know where Tonga is.
This is where my subconscious mind works, evidently. But I fully John Constantine that motherfucker. Like, get on with that, Emil. I can't be doing with it your bullshit. Sling your hook now. Go on and take that crap paper mache model with you. Fuck off.
Yeah. You're not in primary school
like
now,
a year
mate.
2 version of fucking the Game of Thrones title map. Fuck off. Take it away.
Delirium Satan doesn't know.
I only wish I still smoked for the full John Constantine. Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow.
But yeah, but thankfully I've been on I'm on 2 sets of antibiotics, and now I'm kind of pretty much seeing the back of it. And so I'll have to go. This treatment side effects have to go a long way to be as bad as that. A long way. That's the sickest I've been in years. I mean, even after one lung removed, I wasn't that sick. You know what I mean? Awful.
You'll know it'll have an effect on you if Delirium Satan turns back up again and goes, "I've found Tonga and I've added some trees."
Where's Albuquerque then, smartass? Come on, try to take you one.
I've got some
San Marino, find that cunt. Go on, where is it? That's like the clitoris of Europe, isn't it? Come on, find the button.
I've got some green sponge from under the sink. I've made some forests. Fuck off. Oh, well. Well, there you go. So, Delirium Satan and body formed crash couches. Apart from that,
I'll teach me to read Hellblade while I'm poorly. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's it. Next week we'll be doing Constantine. No. Anyway, yeah, that'll make you feel sick.
Oh, damn right. His hair colour's wrong. He's not American.
Yeah.
Give that man another cigarette.
Oh God. Anyway, anything else, sir?
I think I'll leave that there.
Okay,
fair enough. I think.
And so now we move on to Delirium Satan. How's your week been?
Oh, it's been quite quiet, actually.
Okay.
Not really done that much. The only thing I have done is I don't remember last week I said I'd started playing The Last of Us Part 1.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Went through it. I completed it, did the DLC as well. I did play it quite a lot. So, I've burned straight through that game.
Mm-hmm.
And it is... the differences between that and the TV show, I mean, there's you can see where they've expanded a lot in certain things. I still believe that the whole section with Bill in it in the game is incredibly mean-spirited, but what they do with it in the TV show is fantastic. Absolutely superb, top marks. And just it's surprising how much emotional weight that game actually has. I've got to say, it's it's quite one on the old,
dusty room meter.
It does, yes, very much so. Very much so. But I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it about a month gap, and then I'm gonna start number 2.
Right.
And give that a go. I've heard that's a much bigger game.
Yeah.
Than the original.
Yeah. I didn't finish number 2 because I got into a situation, because just so you know, there's a couple of scenes where it has autosave without you asking. And I did make a mistake of not clearing out a space and then falling into a room which was through an autosave, and literally just landing, getting shot, landing, getting shot, landing, getting shot, and it was like, oh fuck! So I gave up.
Oh, I fucking hate that. Do you know what? During playing number 1, there were times when I was ready to just rage quit. I'll say that, because it's. In some bits, the actual difficulty rises steeply. I've got to say that it goes up literally at a right angle.
Yeah,
in some of it, and it's reloading it for the 10th time before it clicks, and then it's like, that's it. I never want to come back to this section again.
Yes,
I'm done with this. Moving on swiftly now to the next bit. The DLC for it, Left Behind. It's got a part of that in it where it just suddenly throws the kitchen sink at you.
Yep.
And that. But I do not feel guilty about using the infected as my weapon, because those fuckers, the cunts I used them on, deserved it. So there we go.
Throw a nice noisemaker in there. Oh dear, what was everyone found you? Oh, what a terrible shame.
Well, it wasn't even that. There's with and this isn't really giving anything away. I'm crawling through some eventing system, and I get into this one section, and you can see there are some clickers standing around, right? And they're just sitting there doing that usual standing sleeping thing that they do. And you look over, and there's some guys who come in. These guys who are hunting you down walk into this area, and they see the clickers and like, right, be quiet. There are clickers over there. So what do you think I did? I got a bottle, and I just threw it at a wall, and they all suddenly went, "What?" like this.
Yes,
and that was it. And then I just stood there watching them all get torn apart.
Yes,
by the by the infected, which was I think I probably need help because I had a good old giggle at that. But you know, there you go.
Yeah. It's a bit like, it always reminds me of that bit in Galaxy Quest when they beam the rock monster into the barracks on the ship.
Yep. That was it. Anyway, I find the infected a lot easier to deal with in that game rather than humans that are always on the prowl for you and they can see you coming and whatever. Because it's all, you know, with the infected, of course, there is no. It's all based on sound for them. So you can just crawl right up to them and stick a blade right up their nose, and you know. But all in all, I thought it was a good experience. I thought it was a very well written game, I'm still in awe of how, you know, they adapted that for the TV show and just made it better. I don't really know of any video game adaptations that have really done that. I'm sure there are one or two, but you know, most of them, about 95% of video game adaptations, really aren't that brilliant.
No, because they're shit.
They're shit. Yes,
they're shit. Yeah.
Now, one other thing I did play just before I got on the cast was the remasters of the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver games, so 1 and 2. So I just jumped on to number 1 just to see what it was like, and man, you can see where they put the work in.
Yeah,
on this one. It's Crystal Dynamics who did. I think they brought up all the IDOS stuff.
No,
and they did. Right. Yeah, they've done the Lara Croft, all the new Lara Croft stuff, but they've got the rights to the originals as well.
Yeah,
so they've done 2 batches of 3 games. So I've got the first 3 Tomb Raider games.
Yes, you mentioned that last week or the week before.
Indeed. Yep. And so they've done the same with Soul Reaver as well, but they've done an even better job on this than they did. Yeah, my word, you could just see the artistry in it. It's fantastic. The textures, absolutely superb. Such an improvement from the original. So, and you can actually, like the Tomb Raider games, if you click down, I think it's on the right joypad button. It will actually change the graphics back to the original. And I did that a few times just to see the comparison, and it's just leaps and bounds past what it used to be.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to, because I really did enjoy the games originally anyway, but I'm not sure how the fuck I played them at all with the fucking PlayStation 1 controller.
I think the phrase higher tolerance for bollocks really kind of comes to mind there.
I think so. I think it was, I think we're at a development stage there where controllers are concerned. We were just happy to have these newfangled things at the time. But now try using them these days. It's like we've got so many games out there that do this sort of thing so much better.
Yeah. Well, it was like I was playing my C64 again not long ago. And I've downloaded a few old games that I really liked, and I put them on the USB, stuck them in this C64, and I'm thinking, I remember this game. This is going to be great. And do you remember the old Aliens game where you're looking at this like first person perspective, and the aliens kind of walk around you?
Do you remember? Yeah.
Where you got the 6 different characters. And they go through the different rooms, and you can spin around. Yeah, there's little things like when you spin around, you completely lose which way you're facing, north, south, east, or west.
Where the fuck am I?
Exactly. And you find yourself going in and out of rooms, and the only way you can tell what room you're in is this little number that's in the bottom corner that's individual to the room, and it's just like, and all you can hear is whoop, 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 and there's an alien that's kind of ambling past very slowly, and it's like, this isn't scary at all. It just, all you do is you fire and he runs straight at you and you just go pop. Okay. Anyway, moving on. and I'm sitting there with a joystick going, how the fuck move? It's because the joystick, because the fucking gun sight has to hit the edge of the screen before it turns, and then it does it again. It's just like,
the
God,
screams
Adam.
of, I didn't say go that way, you stupid fucking idiot.
Why are you doing this? Yeah. So, yeah. It was an interesting experience going back to those sort of things, and I'm thinking, how the fuck did we play these games?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, mate. You wanna, was it the what's that game we used to play on the Amiga? The Beneath a Cloud. What the fuck was it called?
Beneath a Killing Cloud.
Yeah, they brought that out again about 2 years ago, and I bought it, and I don't know how we played it because I remember really enjoying it, but it's just like, what the fuck? What? How does this work?
What is
how
this?
How did I play this without like looking like I've got hands with arthritis in them? You know, it's just the key configuration's just not natural.
Yeah, I tried that. I tried that with Thrust. I remember being able to do. I remember being able to fly that thing upside down, back to front, never stopping. I literally, I was like my nan trying to play. I was like my nan trying to play fucking some kind of speed running game. I was sitting there. I was like, my fingers are not supposed to go this way.
Okay. In that case, I have to ask. Okay, so let's go through a little bit of a checklist here, right? Okay, the games that I think you've most probably played.
Go on.
Were you a fan of the Eidolon?
Yes.
Have you played it?
Yes. You have slap the space bar trying to absorb everything.
Have you played it on this new system?
Yes.
And
I literally had my big toe on the key on the space bar, slapping it away, and I'm trying to fire back, and then I'm doing 1, 2, 3 to go through all the different coloured balls. Oh my god! Oh fuck, mighty!
So there's that one. Okay, what about Coronis Rift?
Yes,
playing?
Yes, I drove about 4 foot, and the thing shot me and blew me out of the ground before I even knew what the fuck I was looking at. Yep, that was rubbish. Yep.
So you didn't? Did you find an astronaut? Did you have one of them run up to the screen and you're sat there?
No, that's like, Rescue on Fractalus.
Oh, Rescue on Fractalus. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you try that?
Yes.
And did you shit yourself again? Or
yes. Because the little green man turns into
a yeah, exactly. So it still has the power to do that, because there's times when you get the astronaut coming towards the ship, and you think, okay, it's going to jump up any second, it's going to be an astronaut, and it just sits there, and you're like, what? What is this? What is it? Oh, God, is it going to be what I think? Surely not. It's not an alien, is it? Surely not. And then it just fucking randomly just jumps up and fucking empties your barrel for you.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny because it does that by actually the jump isn't really from it coming up, because it comes up in about sort of like in 5 very slow frames. What makes you jump is the fact that it goes. You hear the door. You hear it go.
Oh yeah.
No, it goes. And you're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden it goes. And you're like, fuck, my ears, help.
Yep.
You jump more for the remote control to turn the fucking thing down than you do actually being scared by the monster.
Okay, just 2 more then.
Okay, go on.
Ball Blazer.
Yes.
And?
And no. I got absolutely trounced. And the music was
you used to be really good at that. That was like one of your killer games. And
that and Speedball. No, neither one. Absolute rubbish.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, and Speedball 2.
Speedball 2 wasn't on the 64. It was on the Amiga. And
that's right. Yeah.
Speedball 1 was.
Right.
And yes, I downloaded it, and I was absolute fucking rubbish. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know how we play any of those games.
No.
Honestly, I just don't know. Either we had hypermobility in every limb,
I think so.
in every joint of every limb, or we were some kind of like super freaks that were able to sort of play with our elbows. I just don't get it. I don't get any of it.
Do you know what? I'm pretty sure recently I tried using QAOP, right, as a fucking as the directional keys on a Spectrum game. It's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm driving a fucking Robbie Reliant. It's supposed to be Star Wars, fucker. What is this?
What is this nonsense? QAOP space.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
God. Yeah, well, that was all right when you could actually reach the space from the Q and the A and the O and the P.
Yeah.
But the problem is on the C64, the keys are like about 6 foot up in the air, and your fingers are like splayed out like. Like that geezer in Tom O'Connor's Name That Tune. You've got you're sort of, what the fuck is going on? It's like E.T. It's like E.T.'s got like sausage fingers to get that fucking combo. It's just stupid. Anyway,
I'll name that tune in one, Tom. I'll name a tune in one. Yeah, like fuck you, Will.
Ding. No,
they
I
call
always...
it Acid by D-Mob. Yes.
I always remember. I think it was Kenny Everett's show which did a piss take of that, and it had a man with a big rubber glove with all claws and hair on it, and just slapped the keyboard and just went, "I'll do it in one," and it just comes down to like 20 keys.
Yeah, I think that was it. Actually, yes.
Anyway, anything else, sir?
Apart from actually, I watched The Gathering, right? Babylon 5, The Gathering. I started watching that again, right?
Oh yeah,
and I remember harking back to those days. Your complaint of how many fucking forms of communication do they fucking want on that station?
Yes,
and it's in the days before they actually developed the PPG gun. That they had during
the skateboard guns.
Yeah, they had the skateboard guns and they had the table tennis bats as well, right? Which are fucking pathetic. It really were.
Yeah, and all running around in Laser Quest gear.
Yeah, exactly.
Rubbish.
So I mean, don't get me wrong. It was nice to go back and like watch something because there's generally some really nice stuff in there, and it's the whole thing of the where the characters are in this, and you know who you think the bad guys are going to be and who you think the good guys are going to be, and it's oh no, if only you knew what was coming.
Oh
no, it's all going to end in tears. It really is.
At least that's that silly buffoonish geezer in the purple with the funny hair. He'll be all right.
Yeah, he will. Oh, he's a good old bloke, him, and he's
a
all
good
right.
egg.
Yeah,
he's a good egg.
Oh, I've got a feeling he's going to be one of my favourite characters in the show. He seems like a real decent person.
Yeah, he'll be a fan favourite. He'll always have a jolly smile and a beer in his hand. Oh dear,
not like that lizard cunt. No, he's evil.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I've got to watch that. Start watching that now. Because was it the Orgs are doing their Babylorg 5 thing, aren't they?
Oh, are they? Oh, right. Okay.
That's coming soon.
Smashing stuff. Oh, I'll have to see if I can try and wangle the box set or something.
I've got the Blu-ray box set. Yeah, it's really good.
What's the transfer like? All right.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Anyway.
Yes, but anyway, that was my week.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, well, I will go through my week then. Firstly, last week I mentioned the Disney show Paradise.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen
that? Yes.
No, I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Yeah, we got to the end of it, and it was clearly set up for a cliffhanger, but it's really weird because it's a cliffhanger that you kind of go, actually, I'm fine with it ending where it did. It's kind of interesting. You can kind of carry on, or you can leave it there and just go, actually, that's an interesting ending. Thanks very much. And it did. But I tell you what, for those of you who didn't hear me last week, but Paradise is a story about a presidential head of security for the US president, and something's going on. You don't quite know what. The town and city that they appear to be in is all very Stepford Wives, bit too perfect. Everything's a little too nice. And you don't quite get what's going on. what is going on is revealed quite late in episode 1, but I'll skip over that. Let's just put it that way. And what happens is at the beginning of episode 1, the president is murdered, and it's down to the head of security to wangle his way around this cabal of town elders and some of his own men to work out exactly why the president was murdered and where his big box of security secrets have gone, because they've all gone missing. And you get told through flashbacks what's actually happening and what's happened and where it's going, and it leaves this big old mystery as to what the deal is. And I thought overall it was really solid thriller, proper conspiracy thriller. But there's an episode 8. Episode 7 out of 8. I think there's 8 episodes. And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of mainly a flashback, but it is Thread's level of anxiety attack.
Wow.
Really?
It really
Wow.
is. It really is. It's one of those things where you think, okay, it's just X, Y, and Z. Something is going on. But there's a couple of scenes, and I don't know if this is just me, but when they do events, happening in real life or whatever, and they film them like big VFX thing or whatever, you tend to go, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's just a big visual effect. But when they film it like it's a documentary or it's on a news report being viewed by other people, for some reason it has a much more visceral impact. And there's a whole thing unfolding, and I cannot say it because it will really ruin it, but there's a whole thing unfolding over the entire episode, and it felt real, and it just felt like my gut just dropped. And there's one scene on a TV screen, and I was just like, that is my worst nightmare right there. Right there is my worst fucking nightmare. And yeah, I was quite impressed with it. I'm going to be not going to lie. Other people might just watch it and just go, yeah, whatever. But for me, it was one of those kind of, oh God, I can see it. I can see this really happening. It's giving me the shits. It really is. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, watched it, was impressed with it. Well, I was not disappointed by the end, even though they did obviously want to run it onto another series, but I'm quite happy ending it where it did. Speaking of endings, I also watched the finale of Doctor Who. Did any of us watch did we all watch it?
I did.
And in general, without getting into spoilers, how did we feel about it, Jim?
Bit of a game of two halves, but that's kind of expected for RTD, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about it, Darren?
Now, there are two Doctor Who commentators that I follow. And I follow them because I consider them to be extremely level-headed individuals, right? Who, if they like a thing about Doctor Who, and they like a lot of stuff in Doctor Who, I know they like it genuinely because that they actually think it's good, and it's not because Doctor Who can do no wrong, right?
Yeah,
they are normally pretty positive about stuff, and they put an interesting spin on what they've seen, And both of them, one of them went to the cinema. A guy called Tharis, right? This is the guy's name. And he went to the cinema with his mate to view the episode, and he just went, I did not like that episode. I did not like it.
Yeah.
In fact, the actual title of his entry, and I've never seen him write anything this despondent. It says, I think the show has jumped the shark. And it's like, Fucking hell, that's a bit rough.
Okay.
But anyway, I've been listening to the run up and the rumours about what's happening, and there was a rumour that what happened, what we actually saw, was going to happen, and Tharos was like, "No, they'd never do that. It'd be like if they did that, that would be they've run out of ideas, and it's just no, this would not be good." And of course, it happens. I basically went to that episode on the Saturday. I just sped to the very end because I knew what was coming, and it's like, all right, let's see if it.
So you didn't actually watch it all the way through?
No, I didn't. All right, I've not. I've been. It's. I don't know. There's certain things about. Russell T Davies's writing really gets up my fucking nose. You see, I equate it to Donald Trump coming back into power. It's like, did we not remember why we got rid of him in the first place? Are you all forgetting how you were all happy that he walked out the front fucking door? And then it's like, suddenly, no, he could do no wrong. He was fantastic, wasn't he? But it's like, hold on a fucking moment. That's what I thought anyway when they brought him back. But yeah, I don't like his writing. He can't stick to a landing as far as I'm concerned. So I thought, surely he can't be crazy enough to do what they're suggesting. And I sped to the end. I saw what I saw. I thought, oh, do fuck off. And it's just, I will quote Tharis for say it right when he says this. He says, I feel like a fool for defending this show because what I saw at the end there, it was just proving right all the naysayers that I'd defended against.
Okay. Well, I mean,
and I'm inclined to agree with him on that.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure the episode itself up to a point was good because that's the way it works with Russell T Davies. He's like, who's that bloke who wrote Lost? Who was involved in Lost?
Oh, Damon Lindelof.
Yeah, Damon Lindelof and his magical box of mystery. It's that whole thing of gets to a certain point, and then it's like, oh, I've painted myself into a corner.
Yeah. I was curious to find out what you both thought, simply because on the one hand, I've seen a lot of discussion about it, and I'm not getting involved in that. I really am not. I'm not going to get into, if you like it, you are X, and if you don't like it, you are Y. I'm not.
No, that's fine. If you like it, it's entirely up to you. That's your thing. You know, me personally, I know what works for me for Doctor Who. And this is why I do go back and watch it still from time to time, because I know it can be really good. You know, I've seen lots of stuff there, even with Doctors that I probably thought weren't my favourites. I've still seen, you know, glimmers of brilliance. So I know it can reach the heights that I like it to reach.
Okay.
And yeah, it's some, but a lot of it just doesn't work for me.
Well, I mean, as far as it goes for me, if this year's taught me anything, it's don't write off anything, which is, you know, because I mean, for me, Star Wars is dead. And then I watched Andor and I thought Star Wars has found his fucking feet again. Brilliant. Well done.
Yeah.
So you can never write anything off entirely. That much has now become clear. People don't necessarily like what you like, and I get that as well. I mean, again,
we're all different, and that's what's great about the world.
Yeah, I'm not in. There are bits of Star Trek that I still like. I still will watch an episode of Strange New Worlds or Picard season 3, whereas I can almost hear from here, you know, Peter and Andy kind of go, ugh. But you know, everyone likes what they like. That's fine. As far as this goes, the reason I was asking was because I watched it and I saw the internet basically light up like someone had just thrown fucking, you know, a match into
water on a chip fire.
Exactly, threw water on a chip fire. And I wanted to get kind of what everyone I knew and respected their opinion thought. And for me, as you say, Jim, it was a game of two halves. There was but the one thing I agree with you, Darren, is I don't like Davies' writing when it comes to finales. Everything has to be massive stakes, and massive stakes works if you've got the space to breathe and work into the corners. If you're just
stick a dance routine in there, just do that every other episode.
No, stop it! Don't be silly. Don't be silly. You didn't watch the episode. Don't be silly.
No, sorry, I'm just thinking of the season that I did watch.
What Davies does, though, he writes impressionistically. He follows an emotional through line.
Yeah.
And the plot points be damned. But the problem is, to amp up his emotions, he's not just ending the world, he's ending the entire fucking universe every time. You can't just keep doing that.
No. And
I know this one is sort of the reality war, no spoilers, but it does bring it right down at the end just to one life. Which is kind of quintessential Doctor Who, where it's kind of, can we just dial it all down and just tell a fucking straight story without ripping reality inside out like a glove puppet every fucking week?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Can you just tone it down, Russell? Just do some.
Yeah.
Remember season 1? You had some little stories. Doctor and Billy trapped in a time loop in a church with a handful of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go back to that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, his best episode for me was Midnight.
Yes,
which is basically Doctor Who on a shuttle bus talking to a thing that's talking back to him. And, and that's cool. And like I say, other people take away what they take away. They like what they like. I think the problem I have this time is it was all the worst excesses of what he's done before, which is essentially you create this big issue or you create this big thing. And you go, right, okay, the stakes are up here. They're at 11. They're at Michael Bolton singing the second half of his song. They're right there. They're at 11. And then what happens is he wanted to have the human emotional payoff. So to do that, the big stakes gets literally swept up and dealt with in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's of 20, 25 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, of a 1 hour episode. At that point, even if the resolution makes sense, even if which I didn't think it did, but that's, for another discussion for another time, but even if it did make sense, it's so rushed given that there was a 1 hour episode of build up that you go, oh.
Yeah.
And then the finale, which is essentially, as you say, pivoting on a single life, has no stakes, no consequences. You just sit there watching something happen so that something else can happen. And so, for me, the surprise thing at the end, which has got everyone's knickers in a twist, that I suspect I've got two theories for that. Not going to waste time on it, but the thing is, I would quite like you, Jim, I would quite like a Doctor Who episode where the Doctor basically figures some shit out and gets himself in and out of a problem and saves everyone, rather than some metatextual, let's talk about TV thing. Because this whole season's been that. It's like, even the sequel to Midnight is called The Well. It was literally returning to the well. It's just like, for fuck's sake, mate. It had one episode where the Doctor literally climbs out of a TV and has a sit down chat with some super fans about what episode they thought was the best. It's like, give over.
What?
Yeah, literally.
What was this? When? What was this in the season just gone?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank God I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah, he literally gets turned into a cartoon and then climbs out of a TV. But then you find that he's climbed out of a TV into a room full with 3 fans, and the Doctor goes, "So you watch me on TV?" And they go, "Yep." And he goes, "Well, what's your favorite episode?" When I saw when I fought the Jadoon or whatever it was, and he goes through this whole list of like Russell T episodes. And they all go blink, blink, blink. He goes, Blink? But what's that? The Weeping Angels. Oh, but what about? And he goes and he lists all these things out. And so the Doctor is disappointed that his own episode, that he's being judged by certain episodes.
Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
And it was just...
Seriously.
Yeah, and then so there's that. There's the one called The Well, which was the sequel to Midnight, which, again, returning to the Well. I think the problem is it just felt like... This episode and a couple of the others just felt like they were all just, I don't know, therapy sessions for the writer.
I think so. It's a real kind of...
Well, it's like he's become a pastiche of himself.
Yes.
It's telling.
I mean, personally, the thing is, there are tons of writers out there who write good, proper Doctor Who. You can just pick up nearly any Big Finish audio adventure, and you'll get a proper Doctor Who adventure.
Yeah.
And Davis and other showrunners they started out in season 1 and season 2 of the rebooted series. They were drawing from people who've written like novels for the Virgin or the BBC books or the Big Finish audios. But then they started to shut those people out and started getting people who knew nothing about Doctor Who, were telly people, and increasing the showrunners just writing everything. And I think when they listen to David, he's got like an idea of a Doctor Who formula, which he's now refined to like a cartoonish thing of it. I mean, there's been some good episodes. There's been a lot I've enjoyed, but it's all just too hysterical. And like too overblown, and just kind of you need to. This needs to be more grounded. And to be honest, I'd be quite happy if the show was rested, someone else took over, and literally unhappened everything that's happened in this reboot, and went back to the Seventh Doctor and started afresh, because with different showrunners trying to top each other, the continuity is a goddamn mess. You know what I mean? The mythology show is a goddamn mess. And it really needs just nuking and putting back in a box and saying, this was a fork, the universe has collapsed because we fucked around too much, rewinds to McCoy's Seventh Doctor, who regenerates into a new Eighth. And not this all happened in a parallel Kelvin universe, and just it's there if you want it, but you know, we rewinding that, forget all that, it's not relevant. Time wore it out of existence. You know what I mean? And there's a good case for doing that, because that's what Russell T Davies did with the introduction of the Time War, so he wasn't tied to the classic show canon if he didn't want to be. And likewise, I think if Doctor Who has a rest, he should come back and do something similar and unhappen all of this nonsense.
I'll tell you what does need to happen.
Wind it right back. And just, you know, because so many things they muffed up, like running out of lives, the Time Lords coming back, all these things happened and were just thrown away in big gestures. That
Gallifrey getting turned into a bunch of Cybermen.
All kinds of stuff like this, you know, just done and gone, then reset, and it's kind of, no, this isn't how you do it.
So anyway, I think I'm kind of on the same page as you to a certain degree. I mean, there some of the earlier stuff with the reboot, not the Disney version, but the Eccleston onwards kind of stuff, I really liked, and it got me into it, back into it, shall we say? So I'm willing to just let it be, but I do agree it needs resting and just someone go away and come back with something else to do with it, because, like I say, the last 10 minutes of that season ender just basically was like shouting, "Hey fans, guess what? Here's a big mystery for you. And by the way, Disney haven't renewed their contract yet. Maybe you'd like to write in." I mean, that's literally what it shouted at me. So I was just like, whatever.
I'll tell you what, there is one thing you can do to the show to improve it straight away. Make up your fucking mind. Are you a showrunner or are you a writer? You can't be both. Okay,
I think
just
I've
run
said
the
it
show
before,
or write for
should
it.
go back to the old thing. In the old days, the classic series, you had the producer who was effectively the showrunner, then a head of scripts, and it was a 2-person job, and that worked out pretty well. You had one person concentrating on making the show, blah blah blah, and then the script editor, for many years was Terrence Dix, but there's many others who, coordinated the scripts coming in, saying, right, this fits, this doesn't, that rewrite that, this doesn't, this is.
Yeah,
worked with the
tiller.
producer who very much thought, said, this is where we're going with this show. And if you look at Classic Who, it softly reboots itself quite more often than you think. When different producers come in and they say, right, we're going to do it this way. But it was done in a gentle way without a big stupid storyline and bangs and fireworks, and everyone just didn't really notice. So when we look back historically, you go, well, actually, that season's wildly different to the other one. But it still, there was a continuity there, you know what I mean? And it was always, it never strayed beyond certain bounds of what Doctor Who was. Whereas when you've had the era of the showrunners, even the best ones like Moffat, I think after a point he gets way too self-indulgent because there's no one to say, that's a shit idea. Look, I know you're fucking worship the ground Jenna Coleman walks on, but she shouldn't be more important than the Doctor, all right?
Yeah.
Lots of stuff like that. And I think, one person, the tendency has become to become overindulgent, and everything gets bigger and bigger until it means nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like my favourite episodes of the last two series have been the smaller Dot and Bubble.
Oh, that was
first
great.
TV series. That's brilliant Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you, at the end of it, was it, when you watch that episode and you get to the very end, were you like, Jesus fucking H. Christ?
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good, punch in the gut. You know what I mean?
It is. Excellent. There's more of that shit, please. Let's have some. Let's have that. That's good.
Well, actually, you do kind of get that because it seemed like every other villain was some kind of incel this season of some description.
Right. Okay.
In fact, one planet is actually in the first episode is basically a guy who got friend zoned and then basically decided to take up revenge by building an entire planet of robots.
Really?
Yeah. Essentially, but anyway, like I say, I'm not going to get into the whole politics thing of it because everyone has their own opinions on that. But anyway, so I watched that. I'm still on my week. How's this going? I caught up with a YouTube channel, which I would like to recommend to you, called Tale Foundry. Have you heard of this?
Tale Foundry.
Okay, it's like little 15-minute mini documentary type thing, kind of monologues. It reminded me of stuff that you would do, Jim, on Hypnagogia, but it's like breaking down general themes in science fiction and horror, and mainly literary horror for the most part. And essentially, it's really, really well produced, really well written, and it's narrated by this guy. I mean, it's written by this lady. I can't remember her name, so I apologize, and I can't remember the guy's name either. But he narrates as like this kind of robot that's in a library, and he simply goes through certain tropes, so Lovecraftian tropes, or Harlan Ellison's "I have no mouth and I must scream" sort of thing, and it's so well produced and so nicely done. I don't know the veracity of the research because, Jim, you would watch this stuff and probably say, "Oh, that's nonsense. They're pulling that theory out their arse." So I'll hold fire on how solid their information is. But essentially, they are. It's every episode is really well done, and I'm finding myself kind of looking forward to the next one. And hold on, let me just get Tale Foundry. I'll tell you where it's. Tale Foundry. Yeah, it's Tale Foundry on YouTube. youtube.com/@thetalefoundry. And yeah, they do things like like sort of the how can I put it? The horror of being a kid, and using like 2 or 3 sort of literary examples and comics and cartoons and stuff like that to explain why being a child in a horror film is actually a really effective trope, or or the idea of I'm trying to think of other ones. They've got loads of them here. Was it? Yeah. The the why is it that certain things unnerve you? Like, why is it that when people look human but they're not quite? What is it about utilizing the uncanny valley as a thing to disquieten you? How does that work, and why does it work? And it's little, and it's got loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of them. I mean,
just had a look. Subscribe. We'll have a look at that tomorrow.
It's well worth a look. Start from the more modern ones because they've got the format down.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Because if you go right back to the beginning, it's a bit kind of like rough and ready around the edges. But every single episode is really nicely presented and has a nice little take on everything. And it's just, I'm really digging it, and I was just going to fly the flag for it. I mean, I say fly the flag like they need my fucking couple of hundred listeners as opposed to their 1.2 million subscribers. But yeah, it's well worth a look, is what I'm saying. It's well worth a look. And that is Tale Foundry. And finally, the last thing is Sinners. I caught up with that on Sunday.
Funny enough, so did I on Sunday.
There you go. I've got to say, I fucking love this film. I thought it was absolutely superb. What did you think, Jim?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Darren, you were going to say?
Yeah, loved it. It's it's so much more than the sort of main elements it tries to, in the advertising. There's so much in it, and it's so well done. I love it.
Well, I mean, it was, without getting into it, because I won't spoil it, but essentially for those of you who have not seen this film or have been living under a rock for the last 6 months, Sinners tells the tale of two brothers who have returned in 1930s. Who is it? 1930s or 1940s? I can't remember. I think it's the 30s.
It's the 30s, yeah.
So 1930s, they returned back from the First World War, and they lived in Chicago. They were kind of rough and ready gangster kind of guys. They had a bit of local notoriety. They've come back home to sort of to down south, and they've returned back with money to start a juke joint. And yeah, things don't go quite the way they planned. Let's put it that way. But the thing I really loved about it was it's a tale that you could look at about a dozen different films and go, yeah, it's a bit like this and it's a bit like that. But it's done with such flair and so much style, and half the story's told in music, really.
And play a very big part.
Well, it's almost a story about music in many ways.
Yes, yeah. There's a bit of Robert Johnson at the Crossroads in there as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, lot of really smart stuff in that film. And for if you look at it as overall, you'd go, oh God, it's a XYZ film, and you kind of dismiss it. But I would say, actually, if you go in blind, or if you ignore the big bad in the room, shall we say, then I think you'd find it's actually a really good film. Even stuff like the aspect ratio changing. I couldn't believe some of the stuff they were doing with that, because
very clever stuff.
It was
really inventive.
Yeah, the way they were changing the aspect ratio to emphasize certain things. So landscapes, and it turned into 2:3:5:1, big cinema scope, wide screen shots, and then all of a sudden, when you get into, like, shall we say, the more violent moments of the film, it goes to IMAX format. So everything goes up and down, and so the width comes in and the height goes up, so that the whole thing becomes more of a vertical shot. And it's like, oh my God, it's so clever. The music's great. I'm trying to find the soundtrack on my streamer of choice, and yeah, I just thought it was an absolutely stellar film. Absolutely stellar. Something I wasn't expecting. It was started off with like, oh, just put this on, and then by the end it was like, bloody hellfire. That was so good. I loved it. So, Jim, what about you, mate? I mean, I know you say you loved it, but go on.
No, I mean, I really liked it. I mean, I thought it told a good story, really well paced, intelligently told the story as well.
Yeah.
Lots of shades of grey, lots of interesting sort of stuff you've not seen sort of done before. And as I say, it is kind of a story about music. I mean, in one way, I'd have been quite happy if the big bad, as it were, wasn't involved at all.
Yeah.
Because I was that interested in the setting and the characters.
Yeah.
But equally, because you've got the big bad in there, people will see this film and they'll goddamn learn something, you know what I mean, about, you know, where the music they love comes from.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just glorious, just absolutely glorious. It was real. I mean, I heard a lot of good things about it, and I'm thinking, yeah, I know. I've had this flavour of the moment stuff before. I bet it's decent. And I'd seen the trailer, and I'm watching that. That looks good. But it actually really just blew me away because it is kind of, it just really just takes you into a different period and different world, and in a weird way, similar to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes.
And I say that kind of not lightly, but it just takes you back to a period and the music of the period, and the music's woven into the story. Very different films, but I don't know. There's a kinship there between them, and especially in the sort of the inventiveness as well. The kind of, shall we say, non-usual storytelling.
Yes.
But yeah, really, really good, and so well worth sticking right to the end as well, folks.
Yeah, right past the credits. Go past the credits. Yeah, I thought it was absolutely stellar. You got anything to add there, Dal?
Yeah, I've got to say, even, I mean, just to go on the aspect of the big bad in this, even that had, I found it had value as well, right? Because, of course, during that time in America, there is an awful lot of issues with race. And of course, the unity that the black race felt with each other, right, because of what they were going against. But then where the big bad was concerned, that also had a unity to it, and a believable unity.
Yeah. With
the people that come over to it.
Yes.
I like that as well. It's that whole thing of it didn't matter what they were before they came to this side. This is what they are now, and they are united.
Yeah,
and they just want the best, of course, for everyone.
Yes.
It's I liked that, and I liked the different styles of music representing different sides as well.
Yep.
That superb. And what Jim and Lee have said about staying till the end, there's a real treat waiting for you, and it's superb. It's a nice show of talent, I think.
Yeah,
I was dead impressed.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen a film, and I sat there, and as soon as things started to happen, I started to smile. And I mean that in a sort of, not in a kind of patronizing way, but in a way where it's kind of like you're watching it and you're kind of like, I'm dead impressed with what's happening on screen right now. I mean, just from the storytelling, visual storytelling, that, you know, just wow.
Yeah. I liked the representation of musical history, and that's all I'm going to say. There's one scene where it works some magic. It really does. And it's just, this works so well. Just this, the way they're doing it. It's just All right, without any context, you might think, what the fuck? But no, it's just, yes.
Yeah.
This has really been well thought out.
Definitely. I couldn't recommend it high enough. I really wish I'd seen it at the cinema. I mean, it's out for rent now on Amazon. I think it's Amazon Prime, isn't it? Yeah. So you can pay to rent it basically, and I am genuinely considering as soon as it hits sort of physical copy, I am going to buy it.
Same here, I think. Yeah. Can I just ask, guys, when you saw the trailer for this, was it the trailer in general? Was there a part of the trailer that hit the nail in the head? Because we can talk about the trailer because that's not spoiling it for really anybody. Whatever we've already seen out there as an advert for it. Is there one particular part of the trailer where you just went, fuck yes?
Oh, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember the trailer. I honestly don't. I remember seeing like a clip with Haley Steinfeld and a kind of reference to oral sex, which I thought this film really wants you to know that they like oral sex. It features quite heavily repeatedly in this movie.
It's a subject that crops up quite a bit. Yes. What about you, Jim? Was there any part of the trailer?
For me, the trailer for me was kind of like, all right, okay, a horror movie, and it's in that period. All right, you've got my interest.
Yeah,
straight away. That period setting, kind of like, sign me up. I'm up for this. This looks going to be amazing.
Yeah. Do you know what bit it was for me? Go on. I shall describe it exactly. This one bit in the trailer, and it's Michael B. Jordan marching towards the camera, firing a fucking Tommy gun, and I'm just like, fuck yes, I'm having that.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's definitely a look.
It definitely was, and it's just like it just rounds that trailer off just nicely. I thought, yeah, fuck it, you've sold me. I'm done. I'm in there.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember the trailer. I'll be honest with you, but I'm so glad I don't, because I think going in as blind as I did really helped. But I loved it. I think it's probably one of my favourite films of the year so far, without a doubt. So there you go. And finally, on my week, we are going to get through it at the end. The one other thing I would say about my week is I am now the father of a 21-year-old as of today.
Oh, congratulations.
Jeez. Yeah, Katie is 21 today, so
21 today.
Congratulations.
21 today. She's got the key at the door, never been 21 before.
Indeed. No, it's just something of a shocking realization to realize that you are now the parent of an actual adult. It's like, what? No, this is not good. This makes me feel old. Not as old as the movie we're about to review, but
it's my son's birthday tomorrow as well. Actually,
oh yeah,
he's in his 30s now, so imagine how I fucking feel.
Well, you should feel like a granddad, I would imagine.
Well, granddad, and soon to be a granddad twice. So there you go.
Granddad 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yes, indeed.
Nice. Okay, brilliant. Right. Well, I think we'll leave the week there because it's gone on for long enough. I've waffled on long enough. I've taken up everyone's time. There wasn't an awful lot of feedback for last week's episode. So if there is, if I missed anything this week, I'll bring it up next time when we next record. Right. But what we will do now is we'll take a break. We will grab ourselves a drink. And then we will head off to the strangely overpopulated remote Antarctic base to review The Thing from Another World. Roll the jingle.
Ooh, we're watching a new movie we've never seen before. I'm buttering my nipples and waxing my ass. Roll up the Mystery Monica film. Roll up for the Mystery Monica film. Roll up
masturbation.
for the Mystery Monica film. Roll up for the Mystery Monica film. The Mystery Monica film is waiting for us to hit play. Going to watch it today, what will we say?
Right, so The Thing from Another World, sometimes referred to as The Thing, is the 1951 American black and white science fiction horror film directed by Christian Nyby, produced by Edward Lasker for Howard Hawks' Winchester Pictures Corporation, and released by RKO Radio Pictures. The film stars Margaret Sheridan, Kenneth Tobey, Robert Cornthwaite, and Doug Spencer. James Arness played The Thing. The Thing from Another World is based on the 1938 novella Who Goes There by John W. Campbell, but it's and which was also the influence on another movie called The Thing. Wonder where we've seen that before. Yes, the film storyline concerns the United States Air Force crew and scientists who find a crashed flying saucer in a frozen Arctic ice and a humanoid body nearby. Returning it to their remote Arctic research outpost, the body is still in the block of ice, but they are forced to defend themselves when a live, malevolent, plant-based alien is released as it thaws out. The movie has no budget listed. How much do you reckon it made at the box office, Jim?
I think it made 20,000 million blood-drinking intellectual carrots.
Nice. How much do you reckon it made, Dal?
Well, let's see. Going on the fruit and veg mentality, I think it made a bag of, Royal Jersey King potato. I'm not very good. I don't shop for potatoes that often.
don't you got it here first. Shock revelation. Hold the front page.
No, I get the help to do that for me.
Scotty, you got your story. Man doesn't shop for potatoes. Quick, get to the wire.
Are we
all can hear this? Everyone all over the world. Watch the veg.
Are we reviewing this film like 1950s Ad Men, by the way?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, my God, yes. What did you think of the film? Well, I thought it was this, that, and the other.
Yes. Am I someone with no security clearance? Don't worry, I'll just read this newspaper from this newspaper report from a 5-star general. Hold on.
I bet you're wondering what I'm smoking. I'm smoking a nice cool pack of Winchesters.
Anyway, no, you're all wrong. Anyway, it actually only made a door that opened inwards instead of outwards. No, actually, it made $1.95 million, which was apparently in US rentals once it came to cinema, once it came to video. I don't think it made an awful lot actually at the cinema.
Really?
Yes. Right. Well, I don't think there's much point in putting up a spoiler warning for this one, because let's be honest, it's a film that's actually 70 odd years old, and it got remade into a film that's 40 years old,
and it influenced other films, and it appears in like Alien and stuff like this,
everything else.
Knows what else. Yeah.
If you don't know The Thing from Another World, go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime, and if you it's based on a novel from 1938. So I'm fairly sure there's some way you might have already known about this. So we will skip the spoiler zone section, but just to keep the format, let's go around the table and what did everyone think about it? Now, Jim, you picked this.
Yes, I did.
Second hand via me, I'm afraid. But yes, Darren, what did you think of The Thing from Another World?
I thought it was all right.
Yeah?
I didn't hate it at all, I could see where it influenced other movies.
Mm.
And it's, you've got that nod of respect to it from there.
Mm.
However,
Mm.
it's the again the 1950s ad men kind of took away some of its and wow, yeah. I'll discuss certain sort of like values where certain characters are concerned.
I think it's of its time, I think is the way you put it.
Oh, isn't it just?
Okie dokie. For me, I had two problems with it. One, it's nothing like the book novel, and two, it's nothing like the 1982 remake, which is actually ironically closer to the 1938 novel than this thing is, which is it just isn't.
Very, very much so. I mean, the Carpenter thing is very close to the actual original. Who Goes There?
Yeah,
it's quite surprising.
Yeah, whereas this one is about as far away as you could possibly get, barring and also I so I had a problem with it not being the two pieces of media that bookended it, the one that are supposedly influenced by it and the one it was supposedly influenced by. It's like the ugly stepchild of the three of them. Also, the of its timeness was kind of a bit of a hurdle, and
when it just
and
make me a sandwich.
Yeah. Hello, I've turned up. I am here also. I am here also. Brilliant. I could do with a coffee.
Yep.
And and I didn't really feel the threat of the thing when, unlike the book and the previous and the Carpenter film, we've gone from a research base of 8 to a research base of what appeared to be about 186. So there's a lot of stuff where I was kind of sitting there going, yeah. So I struggled with this. I see its place in history, and I understand it's of its time, which is a phrase that's going to get used a lot. But however, I did struggle with this. I'll not lie. What about you, Jim?
I enjoyed going back to this. I mean, it's a film I first saw at quite a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the first version of the thing I knew.
Yeah.
And I mean, I knew it was based on the Campbell story, but it was a long time before I could get hold of a copy of it. And that was kind of after I'd seen the Carpenter version. I was quite amazed. Oh, the Carpenter version is closer to the 38 book than this is. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. I have a soft spot for this movie. I don't think it's the best of the 50 science fiction movies. I don't think it's it's quite as smart as, say, like Them.
Yep.
And
Daily Earth,
even things like Earth versus the Flying Saucers that have a bit more to it. But it is quite early 51, and it's still a bit. This is like a two-fisted pulp retelling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like if a comic book did like a 12-page version of Who Goes There. This is kind of what it's like. But there's a lot I like about it, though, having said that. And watching it this time, you're going, I did notice kind of, oh, yeah, that was lifted there. They lifted this there. That was lifted from that there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's film history. There's like a whole spidergram you can do of things that come from this movie.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, I had fun with it, going back to it again. And there's some interesting stuff in there they don't make enough of, I don't think. And I think if it been made 5 years later, it would have gone there.
Yeah.
But as it stands, I mean, this film made its mark, and I can see why, because it was kind of say so early in that science fiction sort of thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't, there is a saucer and there is an alien, but it's not your usual "we come in peace, Earthman." It's to be far more frightening.
Yeah, what is this thing you humans call love? Yeah. Okay. I mean, Oh, fuck! Don't hit them. Oh, sorry about that. So unprofessional. That was me smashing the fuck out of my microphone. Yeah. So there you go. So that's what we thought of it. I might as well do the jingle. I might as well do the spoilers. Stick to the format. Here we go.
There will now be a short intermission.
Shut up, Wesley. Shut up, Wesley. Shut up, Wesley. Shut up, Wesley.
Course you don't get bloody wafers with it.
Shut up, Wesley.
There you go. I just had to do that because I tell you what, I've been listening to Audible this week, listening to a book, and it's being narrated by bloody Will Wheaton, who's managed to recount a film with recount a book with 20 characters, and they all sound like Will Wheaton. Fucking awful. Anyway, sorry, I was going to put that in my week, but I completely forgot about it. But doing the Wesley thing reminded me. Right, so here we are on the other side of the spoiler zone. Like I say, I don't know why we did this because it's a film based on a book that's nearly 80 years old, and it's a sequel based on it, a remake based on it that is one of the most popular science fiction movies of all time. But here we are. So let's get started with this. I mean, okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Let's just say the of its time. Because if we get that out of the way now, then we could do the rest of the film. Because I can feel it just hovering there. Go on, Dal.
You do realise, right, that the one female character in it played a pivotal role in the entire film, because without her, I'm pretty sure they would have frozen to death, because who would have supplied them with the coffee? Because apparently men don't know how to make coffee back in the 50s. Or sandwiches. And can I just ask, did anybody feel like, did it have some sort of flash to us, a certain part of that universe where the main character, the guy, was on some sort of, fucking list for a domestic dispute with the lady who, 'cause I do, I'm sorry, there's something about him that wasn't quite sort of, I don't know. There was a little bit of menace in there.
I think it was the fact that when he's first introduced talking to her, when he first talks to her, she's constantly referring to a thing where he was so blackout drunk.
They drew a cock on his head and took a picture of it and then put it around the US Navy.
They did do something like that to him, but she was saying like he had hands like an octopus, and
he's the alien. Sorry, yeah,
he had hands like an octopus. He wouldn't take no for an answer, and was somewhat charmingly forceful, I think is kind of the phrase that was used. Which
right, so
right, okay.
So sexual assault and spousal abuse, fantastic. Okay,
I was
wonderful.
I was going to say, let's just get this out of the way now because I want to actually talk about the film. But the it has a kind of a 50s attitude to things. Do you find that hard to get past, Jim, or is that just a thing?
Well, it's kind of, she was different in the past. Get over it. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that for me. I mean, I think as these things go, I mean, there are actually two female characters on the base, but really they might as well not be there. Which I know on one hand that's terrible, but equally they're not running around falling over, getting captured, and getting carried off by the monster, and it doesn't do all that claptrap, which is better.
Yes.
They're just, I mean, the thing is that there's two women and they're very much in the background, but they've got so many characters in here. There isn't the usual sort of stock characters. I mean, there's the crusty captain, but everyone's always jostling for position. if you know what I mean, because you've got lead scientists, you've got the meteorologists, you've got the tech guys. You know what I mean? It is kind of, they're all kind of interchangeable as characters, and it doesn't do that very sort of thing you see in the sort of worst sort of films of this era, of where, you know, I'm the square-jawed hero. You, woman, go back. It's dangerous. Or, oh, she's been captured. We must rescue her. So it doesn't do all of that.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is actually quite, you know, makes a bloody change, frankly, because I hate that bullshit. That's where the past grinds my gears, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I'm quite pleased it doesn't do that, and that she is just in the background, occasionally chipping in. And then at the end, there's a little bit of a love scene. You're like, oh, yeah, we need a love scene. Oh, just stick it in there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Have his two mates basically browbeat him into going out with her. It's just like,
basically. Yeah. But you know what I mean? The film doesn't waste a lot of time on that. You know what I mean? And I think that's pretty good for the era, actually.
All things considered.
You know what I mean? Because thing is, like in the 30s and 40s, having watched a lot of old films, you'd be quite surprised how strong the female characters are, because the female characters are reflecting, you know, women of the time who had been left at home when men had gone off to fight to war and had seized a good deal of independence and power, and they weren't going to fucking let it go. And they were fucking some, as I'd say back there, some fucking tough dames. You know what I mean? And held their own against the male characters. In the 50s, however, that's beginning to slide away and women are getting marginalised again. And as you go through the 50s, women increasingly are trophies or things to be captured and rescued and objects and objectified. And the further you get into the 60s and 70s, where you actually start showing some flesh, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
And if you want to see fucking chauvinistic, sexist claptrap, go to an early 70s or late 60s film any day of the week. And, you know, I can show you 40s films that are way more progressive. It's really strange.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like as they kind of men reasserting some kind of mad dominance as the war is forgotten and everything that happened is forgotten. It's just like
yeah, but like if you go to Them, which we did a while ago, there's an old scientist and he has a daughter, and it comes to go to a mission in the Ant's Nest, and he says, I'm going, and he goes, no you can't. She says, yes I can, I'm a scientist, I'm going, belt, zip it.
Yeah.
And end of story. And she does go with the soldiers into the Ant's Nest.
That's right, yeah. Because that's also one of the molds that one of the templates for Aliens.
Yes,
that whole thing underneath the LA in the LA sewers. Cool. Okay. Right. I feel like we needed to get that bit out of the way, because I tell you what, it keeps coming up as it goes through the film. But if we at least say something, it's like, yes, we've acknowledged it. So first off, how I'm going to try and avoid going the comparison to the Carpenter movie, because I feel like that's unfair. It's, you know, it just is, you know, technology, acting, directing, everything. It's just unfair. But in terms of this, I mean, it tells a pretty straightforward story, but for something that only is 80 minutes long, how did you feel about the pacing? And the reason I ask this is because, as I say, it's 80 minutes long. It barely is the length of a film, what would class as a film these days. And there seems to be a lot of moments where they trap the monster, or they think they've trapped the monster, and everyone just sits down and has a cup of coffee and swaps teletexts with home base and and sort of twiddles their thumbs a bit. And I'm kind of like, I'm sorry, you've got an 8-foot lumbering, you know, boiler-suited carrot trying to kill you and drain you of all your blood, and it's in the greenhouse, and you're all just sitting around like, I suppose we better radio back to base now, see what they think about this. Yep. They won't believe this story. So, what do you think of that? Darren, go for it.
Well, they had to have a cup of Joe, man. Yeah, we've shut it. We've shut in the box room. We'd better have a cup of Joe. Yes. What did I think of that? I loved the cameo appearances of the radio bloke every once in a while. Suddenly turn it up. This has just happened. Yes, look, this is the thing to push the plot along. Have this piece of paper. See, read it. What does it say?
He reminds me of the scientist that used to keep turning up at Top Gear and handing them challenges.
Yeah, that's it. It's fucking Taskmaster. That's what it is. You want me to make you want to make a plane out of orange boxes? So I don't know. It just. I love the way they say it's the scientist man who talks like this every single time. Yes, it's super intelligent. It's like, fuck off. Really? Well, how do you know it's super intelligent? What did it do to actually show that it's super intelligent? It did fuck all. It's not done anything. It's kicked a door in. That's it. You know? It's like the equivalent of in the office when that bloke says, I'm more intelligent than you if I can throw this shoe over this building. You know? It's fuck off. What kind of scientist are you? Where did you get your diploma? Out of a cornflakes packet? It's, you know.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, he assumes that this thing has, crossed interstellar space with technology we don't have.
Yeah.
And he assumes it's a scientist out researching worlds because he's a scientist and he's projecting. However, for all we know, this is the equivalent of a truck driver. And there's no point asking him how the internal combustion engine works or the ABS brakes work because he don't fucking know. All he knows is how to drive the truck and drink coffee and drop shit off. You know what I mean? He doesn't understand the technology he's in.
Yeah, I don't think you're too far wrong there, Jim. I don't think he's actually an alien. I think he actually was a truck driver that got hit by the flying saucer. And he's it's kind of knocked all the teeth out of his head and he can't talk properly. He's just looking for a way back to the A4 so he can go and have a breakfast at the local Happy Eater. Which way do I go? Where's Junction 25? I just want to get out of here.
Yeah,
that would be funny if that's all it was. If he wasn't actually trying to attack them. He's just like, I don't know where the fuck I am. Has anybody got an A to Z?
Yeah, I mean that was a really weird thing. The scientist was maybe this is the thing you were referring to, Jim, earlier when you said that there was stuff that later on they would probably have expanded on if it was made a little later. But the scientist with another draft could have been the human antagonist, shall we say? He could have been the Ash.
Basically, Ash is modelled on this guy.
Yeah.
He has this almost identical lines at a couple of stages.
Yes.
And this is where Ash comes from this guy. Who is so obsessed with the science, he'll quite happily let this carrot kill everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, well, exactly. He has a line which I wrote down where it's kind of very Ash-like, where it kind of goes, its development is not handicapped by emotional or sexual factors and all this kind of thing. And it's the same. It's kind of mirrored in Ash's kind of, it's no remorse, no delusions of grandeur, no no conception of morality. It's the same, basically exactly the same lines, because Carrington goes, no pleasure, no pain, no emotion, no heart. It's superior in every way, and it is Ash. But when he suddenly decides to nick like the blood supply and the seeds and start growing new ones, and everyone's just like, all right, it's like, really, none of the other scientists going to look at that and go, might be a bit dodgy. Anyone?
So are you telling me that this also influenced Little Shop of Horrors as well? You have a plant from an alien world that feeds on blood.
Well, probably yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
There you go.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Pardon the pun, but this movie does influence an awful lot of other stuff. And that you have to admire. But there's plots like the Scientist, like Carrington, and I just go, well, you've got the sort of night. Was it Dawn of the not Night or Dawn, Day of the Dead scientists versus military in a little underground bunker situation all over again. And but the problem with the Thing from Another World is they don't capitalize on it. The scientists are pretty much boiled down to Carrington telling them all what to do, and they barely say a word. But Carrington's actions would presumably have the rest of the military all kind of going, he's a bit dodgy.
Well, the thing with this movie is, on one hand, it doesn't give you a cast of kind of, like old scientist, square-jawed hero, crusty military man, damsel in distress. It doesn't hit those beats. And I quite like the fact you've got kind of, they say, where another thing Ridley Scott nicked off it is all the crosstalk, where people are all talking at once, doing stuff.
Yeah.
And basically, there's, the men operate as a unit. There's, there's electricians, there's radio guys, and everyone sort of does their part. And it's kind of, there's no one he's the square-jawed hero, step forward.
Yeah.
And that's good. But the downside is there's too many of them. And there's too many military and too many scientists. And so you can't, there isn't much of a human focus. It's kind of humanity as a big pack.
Yeah.
Rather than as a collection of individuals. And I mean, that's something that in the Carpenter version, they sort of cut down the number of people in Who Goes There, and they whittled it down, I think, to 8 from 15.
I was going to say,
because it was kind of, it'd be, there's too many people to keep track of who's he, what's his story. This movie does commit that. It has just loads of random guys all just popping up going, I can do this. Okay, you do this. And each one is a couple of minutes in the sun. And kind of, in one way, I like that, but dramatically, you needed to streamline that.
Yeah.
And rather than just have them as like a big force of guys.
Yeah. Especially considering, and this was maybe, again, this is my modern sensibilities, because my running with the Thing as a story is reading the Campbell short story in an issue of Starlog when I was in hospital in, I think it was 1980. I was in Lewisham Hospital for 2 nights, and my dad bought me a copy of Starlog, which had an article on Blade Runner that was coming out in a couple of years and all this kind of stuff. But right in the middle, it had the whole of Who Goes There right in the middle of it with this illustration of a part man, part bat knocking a door open. Anyway, I read it all, and that was like, wow, love it. Then obviously I saw the Carpenter version, and now this. So I'm coming at this from completely arse about face. and that was the problem. I watched this and I'm just thinking, how many people are in this fucking base? just how many? I mean, you've got scientists, engineers, the military, you've got back office staff, you've got cooks, it's like, fucking hell, it's a city. It didn't feel like there was a lot of jeopardy with one person disappearing or 2 people and a dog, and that all happens off screen as well. I mean, did you find any of the horror in it, Dal?
No, I didn't actually find any horror in it. I know they had some big bloke running around outside trying to kick the doors in. But that seems like all it was. It was like, some drunk bloke trying to kick his way in. And somebody who didn't know the local language, was just it.
I want to know where the little chef is.
Exactly. Yes. How do I get back on the A4236? Is there a slip road? What junction is this? Yeah. The fact they call it a carrot as well It really takes away from any kind of menace. I've never found carrots menacing at all, ever, and it didn't change.
Not even Eddie's Halloween carrots in bottom that explode.
Well, those were terrifying. I'll tell you what it did remind me of, though. It reminded me of Odd Job from Carry On Screaming. Is it Odd Job?
Yeah. Odd Bod.
Odd Bod. That's it. Yes,
Odd Bod.
that's who the monster reminded me of. Odd Bod.
Well, the look of the creature is very heavily based on the Karloff Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
He has the sort of squarish head. And that was definitely where, I mean, the original Who Goes There, there's no way they can do a shape-changing alien.
Oh, God, in the 1950s now.
And so they really sort of, for want of a better word, dumbed it down. You'd have a lumbering space brute. The idea of him being a plant and therefore any tiny bit of him can grow into another one, which I think is a very interesting idea.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sometimes kind of that American sort of snappy dialogue. You mean a carrot flew this?
Yeah.
Okay, that humour doesn't quite work for me. It just seems flippant. But you know what I mean? It's kind of, all this was very new back then, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, you can't.
It's a different humour. It's like, you seen that Leonardo da Vinci cartoon? I didn't see the bloody joke.
Yeah. Yeah. A heli what? Yeah, I again, it's one of those things. It's almost critic proof now because you can't just sit there and go, they didn't have the special effects back in the day. I mean, you can't really knock it for that.
I mean, the scene where they set it on fire, knowing something about the level of pyrotechnics and the level of protection stuntmen have, that was very good when they set it on fire.
I think that was the first. I did see a stunt thing about Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that was listed. They mentioned the thing from Another World because that's the one that they first did a flame retardant suit.
Yeah, and he's kind of like that. That's really they really went for it as well.
Oh yeah,
and that is an impressive sequence. And it's kind of funny in trying to kill the thing that set the entire fucking room on fire. And that did make me laugh. Yep, typical military fuck up.
Yeah.
So there was one on the humour side. There was one line that did make me laugh.
Go on.
And there is some snappy lines. It's like one of the scientists talks about, we split the apple. It's going to be equal to splitting the apple. And one then goes, yeah, that really made everyone happy, didn't it?
Oh yeah, that brightened everyone's day up. Yeah.
Do you think there was a special effects decision made part way through this film? You know, where they go to the Antarctic and they find the ship under the ice.
Yeah,
right. I've got this fucking image in my head of, as they're filming that, suddenly somebody runs up to the director with like a piece of paper. It's like, we've just received this message from the studio. We haven't got as much budget for this as we thought, and we're supposed to show a big spaceship in a minute. What the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I'll tell you what we'll do. I've got an idea.
Hang on, lads. I'll tell you what. Why don't we just stand around this pond?
This totally indestructible ship that we've got here, made of this strange metal, is going to succumb to a melting accident in a moment. Because we're going to get them to use fucking thermite bombs.
Yep.
Thermite. Jesus.
That's a classic case of when you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I mean, we could melt it. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, give them props. In the 50s, electric blankets really did fucking work well.
Yeah, they certainly did.
Because I'll tell you what, I had an electric blanket. I had an electric blanket once, and it barely warmed me feet up. This one that they used melted a 6 foot thick block of ice and actually resurrected the guy inside.
Do you know what? On that, what something that did make me laugh was when they said, "Oh, there's a man buried in the ice." He goes, "How are we going to get it out?" And he went, "Thermite bomb." Thinking, Yep,
Mm.
yep. If you want a kebab, mate, you just do
Yeah.
that. You
Yeah,
just throw you're fucking pretty free and easy with those thermite bombs.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so on that subject, when it resurrects,
Mm.
there's another steal from Universal Horror.
Yeah,
The shot where he's at the desk, and then
Yeah.
you see the shadow of the creature.
yeah.
That is absolutely lifted from the Boris Karloff The Mummy.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, because it's in The Mummy. They read this scroll that accidentally brings it to life, and the guy sat pottering at the desk. And you see this shadow, and he turns around and he starts laughing hysterically.
Yeah,
And you never actually see it. But that scene in The Thing with the electric blanket guy, that is a direct lift.
yeah, and it gets replicated in a way by in the Carpenter remake when they've covered the distorted creature up with a blanket, and you see the first guy, Null. I think it's Knowles. I can't remember the guy, the bald ginger guy, and he's looking away, and you look at the blanket and you see the everything's melting out from underneath the blanket before he gets sort of taken over.
Yeah.
It's completely shot for shot, and it's like, okay, that's cool. So there was stuff like that I thought was really cool. The problem again I had was that the monster didn't seem to be, how can I put it? It didn't seem to be effective at doing what you're expecting it to do in the film, which is kill everyone. I mean,
Well, it's got quite a low body count like that, and
yeah.
the monster's actually keeping its head down a lot of the time.
Mm.
Well, my favourite thing is when they realise it's all right. You set me on fire. Right, I'm going to fuck you guys up, smart ass.
Yeah.
Right, Naki, you're heating. How do you like them apples?
Yeah.
And that's the best thing, because that's for me the creepiest bit, because you're going, oh my god, it is smart and it's got our
Yes.
number.
Yeah.
It's worked us out. It knows how to completely screw over this base. Just turn off the heating, and they're sitting ducks.
Mm.
I
Exactly.
could have accepted
Let
that.
get them.
Mm.
I could have accepted that if the scientists then piped up and went, "Oh, it's intelligent, guys."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Well, the scientist is probably the weakest link, because he seems like a character that, as I've already said, and as Jim kind of alluded to earlier, that as a little bit later on in cinema history, he would have been an antagonist. He would have been a bigger part of the film,
Yeah.
rather than just Captain Exposition, who sits there looking through a microscope every 5 minutes and going, "Yes, take down my notes and read them back to me." Yeah.
Actually, no,
Mm.
it does start drifting towards that, because he's the one that switches off the generator
Yes,
when
yeah.
the thing is getting
Mm.
executed. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah, but
So-
it's quickly resolved. It's not.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying. He kind of goes, "I'm bad," and then 5 seconds later they've punched him in the mouth, turned the generator back on, and the film carries on its merry way. It's kind of like they remembered he was supposed to be a bad guy.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think even if it was made just like 5 years later, they
Mm.
would have made more of that, and that would have been like a plot point. He'd have been kind of, the enemy within almost, of
Yeah.
arguing
Yeah.
too much from a pure scientist point of view.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you get that in sort of late, you get that sort of ethical discussion
Mm.
about how we were treating aliens, kind of
Yeah.
later science fiction films. Where is that kind of people go, well, hang on, this is an alien life form.
Mm.
Maybe let's just blow the piss out of it first.
yeah,
Maybe try a question.
yeah. Maybe just say hello once and see what happens.
Mm. But I think that is kind of that is an off its time thing of being kind of where the genre is at that point.
Yeah,
Well, in film certainly. I mean, sci-fi on the page is usually like 10 years ahead of where sci-fi is in cinema and on the screen.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but I was going to say, because in the novella, Blair, who in the Carpenter movie is stuck out in the shed, it goes mental and they stick him in the shed. But Blair in the novel is actually taken over earlier, and he's because in the novel the thing has to conserve its mass. So when it takes over like a dog, it can't. The whole mass of it can't be in the dog. So what it does, it breaks a bit off and makes another dog, and so it kind of conserves its mass by making more of itself and breaking off bits which don't fit into the shape that it's making, and so it becomes Blair, and he's kind of just going around constantly helping. And I think Carrington would have been that character. I think he would have been more of a kind of, as you say, Jim, the enemy within. But in this, he does some really shady stuff, and everyone just kind of shakes their fists and goes, "Oh, he's a scientist, he is," and just carries on. It's just like, what? One question though, which I kind of wonder. Well, again, this is a kind of thing that influenced things like Alien, but there's kind of an implication, and I don't know if you guys got this. There's an implication that the military know about this ship on the other base. Did you get that? Because the general kind of goes, "You're not to kill the creature, and you're supposed to contain it until I get there," sort of thing.
Well, I think they probably, because there is like a weather front that comes in that does start screaming at the radio. But I think, if I remember rightly, before that weather front comes in, they've already informed the brass at home that this unknown craft has come down.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why they used Thermac, because he said we've only got like an hour or so before the weather gets in, so they rush the job and fuck it up.
Yeah.
So the military do know, and that's why you get that command later.
Yeah.
How much else they know? Well,
yeah.
It is post Roswell.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Do you think that feeds in? That's what it feeds into. Is it kind of an early conspiracy theory movie? Do you think?
Well, I think it's more like a very embryonic version, and so you've got Ash. This is the perfect creature, and also the company saying, "Yeah, we want that. You don't hurt that. You bring that back to us, sonny boy.
Yeah,
you do as you're told. It's dangerous, sir. I don't give a fuck. You're expendable. That ain't. Bring it home.
That's it. Yeah, crew expendable. All other priorities rescinded. Yeah. Yeah. Did you get that, by the way, Dal? Did you think they already knew, or?
I don't know so much. They kept chopping and changing what they wanted to do with it. Every message that came in, it was a different way of looking at it. Oh, don't do this, and don't do this. Oh, you can do this now. Yeah, that's fine. Just do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they knew about it. There is I mean, looking at that, you want to get really dark.
Yeah.
With this.
Go on.
What if, yes, they did know about it, and they sent in a group of blokes to see what it would do to test out its capabilities. Send 20 soldiers in there, and let's see how the alien handles them. So, you know,
could be. I mean, I don't think they knew it was alive until they informed base. But yeah, I get where you're going with it. It was such a bunch of random commands that it was like, you know, wait until I get there, wait until he goes away, wait until I come back, sort of thing. That I just thought, hang on. Again, this is another one of those in later in the 50s when paranoia was sort of at its height. I'm sure it would have been a thing that got developed. You know, sort of like the military knew. The military knew. Okay, is the thing. How did you feel about? I mean, it's supposed to be a horror movie. How did you feel about all the kills being off screen?
Yeah, it's indicative of the ever decreasing budget, I think.
Mm.
Well, no, it's indicative of what you could show in the 50s. I mean, this is an era where married couples couldn't be shown sharing a bed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the American censorship was very, very, shall we say, insane.
More insane.
Horror films had an awful lot of problems in the past, to the point actually they bullshitted the entire industry that there wasn't they'd been banned in foreign countries to try and stop them making them. Not kidding, yeah. And there was still, this is still it is under what's called the Hays Code. It's before you get the modern system of certificates, which comes in, I think, in the 60s, which actually freed things up and stopped it being down to the whim of insane pen pushers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, on one hand, a lot of the kills happen off screen, but on the other hand, you do get a severed arm, which was actually quite pushing it for the time.
Yeah.
And also that scene where he's batting dogs around. You probably wouldn't get that now, you know what I mean?
No.
So swings and roundabouts.
Literally.
Yeah.
Was it swings and roundhouses?
Yeah. It was quite funny, the thing where he attacked the dogs, because it was like on the one hand it looked like that's a really nicely choreographed scene of people trying to work out what's being seen, and then there's just one shot where he's clearly throwing around a pillow that's shaped like a dog.
I was going to say he's got a pillowcase full of like rocks or something.
Yeah. I tell you what it reminded me of, and this is going to be sounding really weird. It reminded me of the scene in Friday the 13th Part 10, where they're in space. When
Jason X.
Oh, look, back up the truck there, big fella.
Yeah.
Right. Friday the 13th in space.
Yes.
Yeah, Jason X.
Jason X.
Right.
And there's a scene where, because he's been frozen and he thaws out in the future in a spaceship and essentially goes on a mad rampage, and the people on the ship decide to distract Jason while they get away using a holodeck. And Jason walks onto a holodeck, and there's all these girls in bikinis, and they're going, "Oh, we're about to have lesbian premarital sex," and all this kind of thing, and literally playing up the whole thing of, why, when Jason, who he would target and kill. And then it just cuts back. It cuts to the heroes running away, and then it cuts back to Jason, and basically he's bundled every single one of the holograms into a sleeping bag, and he's just bashing it against a tree. It was just he's just smacking the fuck out of him into a tree, and it just reminded me of that with the thing throwing his dog around. It was just like, hang on, is that full of nubile young lesbians having premarital sex in a sleeping bag?
It's amazing what you get in a lucky dip these days, isn't it?
Isn't it? But yeah, I was going to say, so it was kind of interesting. It was one of those scenes which I thought was really well done, and then I thought, oh, hang on, they've over-egged the pudding here. They should have just left it, had some noises of dog going, and then just moved on. The one bit I really wish I had seen was the two scientists who did get killed off screen, and they were being used as like blood banks. And I think that was, I know you can't show those things in the 50s so much, but I got the feeling that was kind of such a key element with this version of the thing being essentially a vampire. And it just seemed a shame they didn't show it. They just showed old Shifty Carrington with 2 bottles of plasma going, yes, I saw the bodies hanging up in the garden, and I just thought, aha, that's what the seeds need. It's like, what? Okay. What did you think, Jim?
It would have been nice to. There's ways and means you could have showed something. I think, rather than just having in dialogue.
Yeah. Even if it's just hands just hanging out the top of the shot or something.
But equally, I do understand kind of like, the last thing they wanted was trouble with the censorship board, who would basically bury your fucking film when you'd have literally nothing you could do about it. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. I mean, it's kind of, you have to go a fair way into the 50s before you see a vampire bite somebody, because they were so uptight about like showing any sort of blood. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think you could have shown a shadow or something, though. You didn't got to,
Yeah.
But the guys who made this, they were more usually made westerns than science fiction and horror. And so I think you had a different director who would say more worked in, shall we say, the more macabre genres like say horror or even film noir.
Yeah.
They would have shown you something a bit more.
Yeah, like a James Whale or something like that.
Yeah. Because film noir was very good at showing having some very fucked up shit going on and getting it past the censors. Because a lot of those films are really fucking dark.
Yeah. And again, film noir, their gender politics tends to be a little bit better as well.
Yeah.
Lauren Bacall and all that kind of thing. But yeah. What about you, Dow? Did you miss the kills and the bloodletting and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I think what you could do is you don't even have to show them, as it's been pointed out, you don't have to show them completely like hanging there or anything like this. You could just have like a hand either side of the screen and the door in between. So when they come in, you just see them standing there looking in horror in the direction of the hands, and then you see sort of like the guy run out and close the door behind him and lean against the door.
Yeah.
And then go off and tell the other guys what he's just seen. Little things like that, but then that sort of Hitchcock sort of letting you paint the picture yourself and convincing you that you've actually seen it in front of you when you actually haven't.
Yeah.
I don't suppose that was really, but then it would have been a thing at the time.
Yeah.
Because Hitchcock was making films at the time, so it that would have been there, I think.
Yeah.
But
I think the problem with it comes down almost to what you were saying earlier, which is, it's a film made by people who usually make cowboy movies. And so, when you got that kind of mentality and you're worried about the censors, you'll just skip around it entirely. But it seems like a shame.
Yeah. It's like the cowboy movies, like people, you hear a shot and then, oh, he's dead. You don't often see them even fall over. In westerns of the period, Yeah,
you just hear the sort of thing. What about the finale? Because the one thing with this film, which again could probably do with a rewrite, I would imagine, even in the 50s, was our sort of reporter guy who just seemed to have no access, some access, and total access all the fucking time to everything. and then got to the end, and it's like, and now I'm going to get on the radio and speak to all of my fellow journalists right in public and say, we've just fought a big fucking alien carrot. And guess what? We're not alone. Keep watching the skies.
That was quite funny, where he was complaining that somebody else had got the story, and then what does he do? Get on the phone and tell everyone else the story.
Exactly. But again, it's like, do you think that was just again an of its time thing, or was that an actual oversight of wanting to have a character who was being the everyman in this thing, and choosing journalists when you suddenly think, no, if you got scientists doing research and military doing military maneuvers, the last thing you want is a guy writing about it all in a newspaper and then sending all these information out over a fucking radio. What do you guys think?
Well, that last speech, though, I think that was very that that is really iconic. That "Watch the Skies."
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
There's
Close Encounters.
yeah, well, exactly. That has real echoes throughout time, and it's been much sampled.
Mm.
Tell everyone wherever you are, keep watching the skies. They're out there.
Mm.
I think that's a good sort of note to end on. It's kind of, because it isn't kind of, hey, folks, a Martian came, we kicked its ass. God bless America.
Mm.
It's kind of, all right, we won the first battle against an alien invaders, but
Yeah. However,
how many more out there? And it's like kind of the end of Halloween.
yes.
Jason's dead. No, Michael's dead. Oh no, his body's gone. He now could be anywhere.
Yes.
And it's a similar thing, I think, that kind of, although that's the thing, I think the journalist character really strictly needs to be in the entire film.
Yeah.
But that ended Rose kind of really saying, watch the skies, keep watching, they're out there, is a nice little sort of kick in the pants, whereas a lot of films this era do end on a very, yay, go humanity, or particularly, yay, go USA, we kicked the monster's ass, we're brilliant. And it's just that kind of, yeah, we won this one, but
Yeah.
I do like that.
Well, it does. I tell you what, it reminds me of as well. It in the same sort of thing, and it's maybe it's a Reds under the bed sort of paranoia thing that was growing in the 50s. But the first invasion of the Body Snatchers with with the main characters,
Kevin McCarthy running down the road,
exactly, screaming, "The pod people are coming! The pod people are coming!" And it's like, yeah. It's that whole thing of watch out. You don't know where the bad guys are, and they could be here, they could be there, they could be all around you.
It's that it's that phrase, isn't it? I always sort of say that saying, the greatest trick that the devil ever pulled was convincing people that he didn't exist. And I think it plays on that whole thing of, even though you know that this alien is coming, who the fuck is going to believe you? I think I read a science fiction story about that once, where the planet Earth is going to end, and these aliens know it's going to happen, and there's only one person they can contact, and it's this bloke who's a complete drunkard. And by the end of it, he just thinks it's all an illusion and just goes to sleep anyway. It's
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea that, making humanity aware of this, unknown menace that could come from anywhere is the start of that Reds under the bed thing, panic. I mean, the invasion of the Body Snatchers is another one. And then there's also, my brain's gone. I was thinking there was another one like that.
There was a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
Monsters on 34th Street, where the people convince themselves that there is a monster, and then it slowly starts spreading, and it just causes chaos. And at the end of it, you see the two aliens stood on a hill going, well, we didn't need to do much there, did we?
Yeah. Yeah, and and the other one was Invaders from Mars.
Yes.
Where it could be your dad, it could be your kids, it could be your wife, it could be anyone. They could all be aliens after you and your freedom. It's that.
And Invaders from Mars, the lead character's a kid, so it's kind of, you can't trust any grown-ups.
Yes. Yeah. And it's interesting in that context that it kind of like it ends on such a paranoid note, given that for the rest of the film,
it's fairly gung-ho, yeah.
It is.
Definitely.
It is. It's almost like about halfway through they got a news report saying, oh yeah, by the way, the McCarthy era has just started. Please insert paranoia here. Yeah. Anyway, right. I'm very aware of the time. It's getting on. Has anybody got anything they'd like to bring up? Jim, is there anything you want to raise particularly about this film?
Just a little nod if you didn't spot it. The use of the Geiger counter to track the creature.
Oh, yes.
Later again seen in the Alien films.
Yeah, especially Aliens with the whole, it's got to be close. It's right here. Yeah. I know I've been kind of down on it, but you've got to give it props for so many different things that it did. Even if it didn't do them all perfectly, it certainly laid the
Well,
groundwork.
it's stuffed with like tons of seeds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Much like
it's
the arm.
jammed- Yeah, much like the arm, indeed. Nice.
Thank you. But sorry, Gary, carry on. Jim.
No, I'm going to leave that there. That's perfect.
Right, that's it. Oh, one thing I was going to just say, I did. There was one moment which actually made me jump, and that was the moment I was sitting there. I was making notes, and I'm not going to lie, I was getting a little drowsy, and I was drinking my tea, and they opened the door to the greenhouse. And the monster's right there, and he just swings his arm out, and the music goes, and I literally threw my tea all over me. I had to pause the fucking thing because it was all over me fucking lap.
That jump scare got me as well. I'd forgotten about that. But it's very well done, though. 'Cause there's no warning.
No.
There's no. The music doesn't clue you in anything like that's going to happen.
No.
It's the last thing you expect.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a well done moment, and that kind of helps carry you through the rest of the movie because you're suddenly like, oh, hang on, we could get that again. Though again, I said it before, but it still makes me laugh when they barricaded it in, and then the creature just opens the door the other way. Barricades going the wrong way. I couldn't work out if that was deliberately a joke.
There.
Yeah, I couldn't work out if that was actually a deliberate gag or whether or not it was just sort of like they hadn't thought about it. Darren, any last thoughts from you, mate?
I don't think I have, if I've got to be honest.
That's cool.
But I normally like. I've got a bit of a thing for old science fiction movies, like black and white ones, just because of their innocence and how certain subjects they're classics. You know, there's that innocence about them that I really love. With this, because it's not like a cynical movie that's been made here. This is, a thing that's never been done before.
Yeah.
So this has a bit of that to it, but I don't think it is the best of those
Okay.
sort of like movies from that time, science fiction ones. I mean, there are a good few that deserve to be given that title, I think.
Yeah.
So this was okay,
I'm glad I've seen it at last. I'll give you
same
that.
Here.
Yeah, for sure.
Had you guys not seen this before?
No.
Do you know what I'd seen, Jim? I've seen the poster of the bloke standing in a circle. That's what I've seen, right? That famous image.
No, that's what I was saying earlier, Jim. I'd read the novel. I'd read the novel in
version.
Yeah, read the novel in the 80s, in the very early 80s, like 1980 or 81. I'll find out which episode of Starlog it was in, but I read that, and then I saw the film, the thing in 82 on VHS, or Betamax rather, and then this I've only just watched. That's it. And I've seen so many bits and pieces of it that I feel like I've seen it, but because every horror film, documentary.
Well, there's lots of clips of it in Halloween for stuff.
God, yeah, absolutely. So I feel like I've seen it through osmosis, as opposed to actually seeing it. Because like I say, there was a whole thing about the flame retardant suit which they kept showing on a documentary about Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it's I feel like this is the first time I've actually ever seen it. So there you go. So I'm quite glad I've seen it. I feel like it's another gap in my knowledge that's being filled. So thank you for that, Jim.
No bother.
Right. Okay. Well, I think it's time for me to tell you what film we're going to be doing when we return. Now, before we do that, I will just say that I am away next Tuesday till the following Tuesday. And so because of that, unfortunately, that means timing-wise works out that we'll actually be gone for 2 weeks. But don't worry, because what I've given you is 2 weeks to, 3 weeks if you count this week as well, to luxuriate in the joy, nay, the absolute pleasure of returning to the 70s. The late 70s, in fact, riding high on the back of Star Wars and Alien and Close Encounters.
Deep Throat. No? Oh,
yeah, and maybe even
there.
Deep... You know what? Maybe even
no,
Deep
I thought
Throat.
that's the film you'd chosen. So,
no,
Star Wars, and that's automatically what I thought of.
Yeah, well, obviously. So we will be going...
Sort that one out, Martin Thomas.
Yeah.
The links between those films. Go on.
Yeah, see if you can link those up. No, so what we will be doing is we will be going to the year 1979. And that year was a fine year for Star Wars rip-offs.
Oh, no, I know where you're going with this. Oh, don't. No.
I've got an idea.
No.
Yeah. Go on.
As we join Barbara Bach.
Oh, I knew it. No, you bastard.
And Richard Kiel
Complete bastard.
in Humanoid. The Humanoid.
T-Boo Darth Vader.
T-Boo Darth Vader, indeed. It's. I've just been informed it's just been added to Amazon Prime.
Wow,
indeed. The Humanoid.
You bastard.
You absolute. Yeah. Anyway, yes. So Jim, have you seen The Humanoid before?
I have a terrible feeling I have on a cider-fueled VHS night in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I remember very little of it, apart from Howard Keel's helmet raising.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Mm.
Oh,
Yes.
His fucking rugby helmet.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
that's the one.
That's it. Mm. Yeah. Oh, by the way, just changing the subject just slightly. The issue, if anyone wants to go look for it, which I read in hospital, was in May 1982 actually, and it was Starlog issue 58, which had a thing about the Thing and Blade Runner, and Who Goes There was actually the full thing started getting serialized in that issue. So there you go. If you want to go look it up somewhere, Starlog issue 58. Anyway, sorry, changing the subject. 58 and 59 it was, because it was 2 parts. Anyway, yeah. So you haven't seen the Humanoid in a while, then, Jim?
Not for a long time.
A long.
I've forgotten most of it, and probably for good reason.
Yes. Okay. Are you looking forward to seeing it now?
Oh, what, me? Yeah,
both of you.
Yeah.
Jim's.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how much comes flooding back, put it that way.
Yeah, let the flavour flood out. Yeah. Yeah, all I remember is Howard Keel. Richard Keel, not Howard Keel. Oh, there's a bird clothes and he's on the middle. Not that.
It'll be a very different film.
Very different film. Driving around in his ice cream truck from Day of the Triffids.
7 Sith for 7 Brothers.
Exactly. So yeah, I remember Richard Keel. I remember Barbara Bach, and I remember T-Boo Darth Vader. But also, does anyone remember the plastic Tommy R2D2 dog?
Oh Jesus! It's worse than Box off Galactica.
Yeah.
Oh Christ!
literally makes K9 look like the Terminator. It's really something.
Jesus.
Darren, are you looking forward to seeing this then? You say he's...
I don't remember many details of this film. I just remember thinking I'm never going to watch that again.
Oh. Well, you were wrong.
I've got the memories are buried deep there.
You are very wrong. You're going to watch it.
God,
You are going to watch it. You got 3 weeks to watch it.
Right.
Yeah. You can watch it in 30-minute chunks.
Okay, can't I? Yeah.
Yeah, all 3 hours of it.
Although watching it will probably make me blow chunks, but never mind.
Yeah. Well, it was that or Humanoids of the Deep, but I thought I'd give that a skip.
What is it with humanoids and you this week? What is
I'm
that?
having a humanoids month.
Are we having a special on humanoids?
Humanoids a day, stack of humanoid.
Humanoid.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm suffering from some severe case of humoroids. No. Anyway, so there you go. So I haven't seen this since I watched it in 1979 at the Lewisham Odeon way back in the day. And I only remember...
Way back in the day.
And I always remember the black and white poster with a lady in a sort of needle-tipped Iron Maiden. That's the only bit I remember. So I'm kind of interested to see what this is like. Apart from, and the, like I say, Tomy plastic robot dog, which was terrible. But we'll see. We'll see what it's like when we watch it when we return, which will be on the 24th of June. But until then, let's find out what's going on in various other lands in the pimping section. So, Jim, I mean, understandably, your output might decrease slightly, but what's happening over in Hypnagoria right now?
Coming out probably just about now at the chimes of midnight is a new episode of Hypnagoria, looking at the strange enough and rather sinister folklore of the Bluebell.
Yeah.
And at the weekend, I've got a reading of a truly seminal sci-fi short story, one of the very first kind of future dystopian road rage tales, X Marks the Pedwalk by Fritz Leiber.
Oh,
which is a very dark and very funny story.
Right. Okie dokie. And that's over at hypnagoria.com.
It is indeed.
Cool. And on behalf of Elton, I can tell you that over at Rogue 2, on the Band of Brothers podcast, they are doing Sink the Bismarck. That came out last week. So they're reviewing that with Andy. Elton's doing that with Andy. And the Grand Prix podcast still carrying on. Apparently they did the Spanish Formula One this week. Right. Okay. So do go over and listen to that if driving around these circles with flappy paddle cars is your thing. That's all over at rogue2media.com. Right. Darren, anything you want to push?
Except this bowl of trifle. I just want to see what happens.
The ejector seat button before you have to watch the humanoid. Nice.
An ejector seat button in a house with a very low ceiling. Thank you very much.
Goose, talk to me, Goose. Oh dear.
You're standing there talking to me size 8s, slowly, just legs dangling in the wind.
Stuck through the ceiling.
Oh, fucking hell.
Talk to me, Nike. Talk to me. What are you calling? That's all I can see on the bottom of his shoes. Anyway, brilliant. Right then, in which case, I think we'll leave it there thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Darren. And thank you, Elton, wherever you are, because he's probably asleep. And yes, we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Do join us over on the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/The Black Dog Podcast, or send in some feedback to feedback@blackdogpodcast.com. But until we meet again at the end of June, thank you very much for listening. Take care, and we'll see you all soon. Till then, tatty bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Keep watching the skies.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road, it's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on.
I only came for a kebab.